Welcome back to the channel. I've got a Blu-ray update for you guys. Pretty decent stack of films I picked up. Alright, first up we've got Village of the Damned, John Carpenter's film. It's been a long time since I've seen this. I probably saw it when it came out back in 95. And it's just, of course, a lot of people say this is one of John Carpenter's worst, and I would have to agree. But I don't think it's the directing. I think the script is. I think it's the script. This is an extremely tepid sci-fi reboot of a classic horror film from the '60s, science fiction horror about some kids that are born from basically as an alien has taken over and caused these women to give birth, and these kids are like space kids that take over a village, and they've got glowing eyes, and they have supernatural powers. Christopher Reeve stars in this. Kirstie Alley is in this. Mark Hamill. Great all-star cast, but man, everybody just seems so wooden, and the acting just seems so nonchalant. It's just not a very engaging film. It takes like 40 minutes before the thing even gets going. So it's a pacing issue with me. I blame, I think from a direction standpoint, and cinematography is fantastic. Beautiful sets. It was shot in Northern California, but yeah, I give it a 5 out of 10. There's no audio commentary on this, but there is a making of, and like an hour-long making of, and the behind the scenes. Anyway, I picked it up. Scream Shout had a sale, and I picked this up for like $11, so it was worth it. As far as what didn't cost me much anyway. All right, next up, 1969's Check to the Queen, or another title, The Slave. Wow, this is a fun film. Fun. Maybe fun's not the right description. It's a frustrating and very good film. It's frustrating to watch as far as this woman named Sylvia works for this evil woman. She's just this rich woman that basically abuses her help, treats them like dog shit, and makes them do all these different things, just runs them through the ringer. It's directed by Pasquale Campanella, and it's a great film. I really enjoyed it. This is one that I picked up from my buddy Dan, Reject Films, and I hesitated to pick up this Mondo release the first time, just when it was initially released, just because of the story. Uh, it's not really a horror film in the sense of horror as we know it. But it is a horror. I think it is a horror film, just in terms of the human condition and how people can be so cruel and evil. But I'm glad I own it now because I really enjoyed the hell out of it. It's a good film. I give it a 7 out of 10. This has I don't believe it has an interview with a critic and a writer, and of course it's got a brand new scan. Beautiful, looks beautiful. It does not have an audio commentary, which I wish it had. Good stuff, though. I would recommend picking up The Slave. Next up, The Forbidden Door. This is Severin Black Friday. I think this is a Severin Black Friday pickup. This is a 2009 film from Indonesia, directed by Joko Anwar, and I loved it. Loved it. I was so pleasantly surprised at how good this was. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think this is one of the best films that was released by Severin, other than their box set recently. Um, Fantastic film. It's about a couple, a married couple, who well, the wife, they want to have kids, but I'm not sure they want to have kids with each other. That's or at least the wife doesn't. The wife is very manipulative, and she and her family and his family too really treat the husband like he's just well, treats them like a slave kind of. I mean, uh, and this is just has a great payoff. It's I would say this film kind of my reaction to this film is similar to my reaction to rape revenge films. I love rape revenge films for the payoff. I just love to see these assholes get what's coming to them. Same deal here. Same deal here. 8 out of 10. Great film. This has an audio commentary track, behind the scenes, and then an interview with the director. Highly recommend The Forbidden Door. And there is a forbidden door, by the way, and the wife doesn't want him to go into it for reasons that I won't disclose. All right, next up, probably the worst of the Severin releases, The Halfway House. I gave it a 2 out of 10. My guess on this is that it stars Mary Vornoff as a nun that's overseeing a halfway house for women, and she's got a secret Lovecraftian monster that she's feeding these shit that she's feeding these girls at this halfway house to. It's stupid as hell. It's not. It's supposed to be a horror comedy, but it's not funny. It's not funny. It's stupid. Kenneth Hall directed it. He did. I think he did Puppet Master. He was involved with Puppet Master. I think the budget was $100,000, and Mary Vornoff must have gotten most, if not all, of that because, man, the monster looks like shit. It really does. And the acting is horrendous. I mean, it's so bad. The dialogue is cringy. I don't really have anything good to say about this. I really don't. Next up, Daughters of Eve. Silly. I don't know how to pronounce that. Silip. Daughters of Eve, I guess. Silip. There's a P at the end. This is another one I got from Dan Reject Films. I passed on it when Mondo first released it because it just doesn't look like anything that I would like. And I have to say, it's still not something I really like. This is a film. This is a Philippine film, basically in the Philippines, particularly in the '80s. This is '85. Yeah, you had a lot of films that were coming out that were very sexually exploitive. They called them bumba films, and they weren't porn. They were more along the lines of, well, some had hardcore scenes. In reading there's a booklet here about the history of sex exploitation in the Philippines. This film has simulated sex, but basically it's about two girls in a village that are kind of having an awakening, a sexual awakening, and they, besides the fact that they're having that, they're dealing with villagers in their village that are, culturally, there's just some cultural issues there that they're having to deal with, and it escalates to the point where the villagers turn on them in a really horrific way. The ending, I guess, the last 10 minutes of this thing is pretty horrific, along the lines of rape revenge type stories. I didn't really like it that much, to be honest with you. It's way too long, man. 2 hours. It's 2 hours. There's no way this should be 2 hours. I go to 4 out of 10. It absolutely overstays its welcome. As far as special features, of course, there's a new transfer. It looks great, and there's an audio commentary on here, and then an interview. I'm glad I got it. I'm not glad. I'm glad I have it. It's not something I'll go back to though. All right, next up, 1965, The Bloody Pit of Horror, another Severin title that was released, and this is a batshit crazy film. I've seen this film a bunch of times, and I never really appreciated it as much as I did after watching it this time. Uh, it's kind of a proto slasher in a way. But you've got a guy that's you've got this lunatic that's living in this castle, and the castle is being rented out by this photography shoot group, and he terrorizes and murders off uh, the people in this photo shoot. And he dresses up. Well, you can see he dresses up like this crimson executioner. It's fun. It's fun. The special effects are shit. I mean, it's fun in a bad way. But it's a fun time. I have to admit, it's a fun time. I gave it. It's not great. I gave it a 5 out of 10. But I had fun with it. This has got a commentary track with David Duvall, which was fun to listen to as well. I recommend picking it up, but don't have high expectations for that. All right, next up is Ballad in Blood. This is another. This was released with House on the Edge of the Park, Rogerio Deodato by Severin. Yeah, this was. How far has Rogerio Deodato fallen from his glory days of the '70s? This is kind of a loose reimagining of House on the Edge of the Park, and I think it's based on the special features. I think it's based on the murder. The girl that was from Seattle, the exchange student, and she was basically prosecuted in Italy for the murder of her roommate, and we still don't have 100% certainty of what actually occurred, but they did have a killer. Apparently, a guy. The story, the most common story now that we believe is that she was wrongfully prosecuted. This guy that did a lot of break-ins broke into their house and killed her roommate, and there's a lot of questions as far as what actually happened there. So it is based on some true events. Uh, the three main characters spend about 90 minutes of the whole film, yelling at each other and arguing with each other and getting stoned. It's a painful watch. It's not good. I give it a 4 out of 10. Didn't like it. This is another example of modern storytelling that the storytelling is we're going to have these people argue with each other and yell and fight and argue with each other, and that's going to create dramatic tension. Yeah, it's just what it does is create freaking annoyance for the audience. It annoyed the fuck out of me. Not good at all. And there's a lot of special features on this thing, interviews and cast and crew. Uh, Way more special features than the film deserves. Let me put it that way. Definitely won't be watching that again. All right, next up is 1973's Flesh for Frankenstein. What a great release here. Vinegar Syndrome did an outstanding job with this release. This is a must-own. You've got the 3D Flesh for Frankenstein with its own slipcover. 3D looks great. I tried it out. Fantastic. And then you've got the regular, well, not regular, but this is the 4K, which looks, I mean, the picture quality and sound quality is unparalleled. It looks beautiful. I love this film. Paul Morrissey directed it. Udo Kier is fantastic as Baron Frankenstein. It's a dark comedy. It's funny. to me, it's funny and very humorous, and it works. It just works at all levels. Fantastic. I love it. Highly recommend this release. Can't say enough good things about it. Must own. Flesh for Frankenstein. Next up, like I need another copy of The Thing. I must have 7 copies of this thing. And I refused to buy the Scream Factory Collector's Edition because I have 7 copies of this thing. But it was on sale, and I took advantage of it. So just filling up gaps in my collection. I don't need to say anything about The Thing. It's one of the great horror films of all time. And one of a very short list of films that were better than the original. Although it's not entirely fair to rate the 2 films. One was from the 50s, but it is a remake, and it's a hell of a better film than the original. It's just a masterpiece, and I loved it. Still do. Must own. And along with the Scream Factory sale, as I said, I've been dragging my feet to buy these Halloween 4Ks, but I went ahead and did it. I picked these up for $25 a piece. So I didn't realize that they come in a nice hard box. That's really nice. But it's the 4K. There's Halloween. And it looks great. The 4K looks fantastic. I got Halloween 2. But I do like these hard boxes. These are really nice. And then I got Halloween 3. I didn't get 4 and 5 weren't on sale. Eventually I'll get them. I've really been dragging my feet about this because you just know they're going to come out with a 4K box set. It's coming. It's coming. And then we're going to rebuy that. So that's why I waited, and I'm glad I did. I picked them up. I think those things were like $36 when they first came out. Next up is Severin's release for Santa Sangre, which is the Jodorowsky slasher film. And I love this film. I love this film. And man, you want to talk about some special features on this puppy. My gosh. There's a full-length feature documentary. Interviews with Jodorowsky. I mean, the special features go on and on and on. It's took me 3 or 4 days to go through this, but I love this film. And it reminds me a lot of Psycho in that it's not a kill count movie, but the kills that are in it are primo, brutal, very effective, and sometimes less is more. You know, yeah, this is just a great film. Love it. And then finally, Daughters of Darkness. I think I showed off this before, the 4K. I listened to the audio commentary and went back through it, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it is beautiful. It's a beautiful film based on the Elizabeth Bathory Countess Dracula story, which is based on true story. Of course, Elizabeth Bathory bathed in virgin's blood. I don't know that she drank blood. This is more of a take as far as Carmilla, the vampire. It's much more blood drinking side of the equation than it is blood bathing. But beautiful film, beautiful film. There's 3 audio commentaries, I believe, on this thing. I listened to all of them, and they're all great. I mean, I do appreciate the film for what it is. For me, it's not. It's just missing something. But I do understand that people think this is a veritable masterpiece, and I can see that. It's just for me, it's a good film. It's just not a great film. But I'm glad to own it. All right, guys, that is going to do it for my update, at least for now. And if you have any of those titles and you want to leave some comments below, feel free. Thanks for watching.